Okay, we're back, and we're going to be ranking the greatest movies of 1991. I've been doing this for a while now, and I'm going to continue with the movies that I have left, which are, as you can see, all of these. There are a lot of genre films, a lot of horror films, and cult films. There was a lot of fun being had in this year, and I don't hear it a lot, but I love 1991 as a year. I did all of the movies of 1990, most of them anyway, as this will be most of them, and I'm doing a lot of them, so it will be most. I mean, I don't know what the ratio will be, but it's a lot of them. Obviously, I'm picking the ones I'm more familiar with, some of them that I know for sure I'm very fond of, but I'm also picking ones that I'm not as fond of, some ones that I haven't seen in a long time. And I'm also doing this off the top of my head, just kind of off the cuff type of deal. So there's no research, so I'm going to be getting potentially some names wrongs at times, forgetting certain things, but that's what the edit is for. I'm going to be correcting any mistakes I have, and so that you're getting the most accurate information possible in this video. I know that that's usually not why you're watching videos like this. Well, maybe you are. I know I do sometimes. I like learning. And then, in certain instances, we'll learn together. Okay, first movie on the list is Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, which is a very fun and intriguing title. I'm sure that the title alone, as well as some of the ad campaigns and whatnot, is what made people want to go see this movie. That's definitely what appealed to me. I was a kid at this time, so it seemed like it was aimed towards a younger audience, but then you go and you watch the movie, and it's actually a movie that's for everybody. And there were a lot of movies back then that were being made for a wider audience, let's say, like the entire family. They were a little bit more edgy and dealing with subject matters that a family movie today would not touch with a 10-foot pole. And that's what's great about the 80s and the 90s. One of the things is kind of like, we just don't make movies like that anymore, for better or for worse. So this movie starred Christina Applegate. She was kind of new to starring in films, especially leading films. She was famous from the Married with Children television show, the sitcom that was on the air, had been on the air, I think, for some years when this movie came out. This was her try at launching into a movie career. And most of the stuff that she did was not like this, in that her leading a film that's playing theatrically. She did a lot of movies, not a lot, but she did other movies that went direct to video, and her career did not boom in the way that I'm sure she was hoping it would. This movie was directed by Stephen Herrick, who has done a lot of cult films, has launched a lot of franchises. For instance, one of the franchises is the beloved Critters franchise. He directed the first film. Some people say the best film. Other people like Critters 2 the best, but it did. It launched sequels. And Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is another film that he directed, which also we got sequels after that. And obviously we got Bogus Journey, was a little closer to the original film's release, but then we had to wait many decades for Face the Music to come out. But boom, another franchise that he launched. So this guy knows what he's doing. He's really good in this area, in this field. He kind of makes genre films, cult films. I don't know how accidental it is, because when you look at the subject matter, time traveling in a phone booth, little fur balls shooting needles into your neck, they scream cult film to me. But and Don't Tell Bob the Babysitter's Dead is also a cult film. I don't remember 100% how well this did at the box office. I, like so many others, saw it on VHS, rented it from the video store, and then saw it so many times after that on TV, because they would play it on cable. They would play it all the time. So I feel like it was just one of those movies, like the classic example, Beastmaster, that was just like on a lot. So you just find yourself watching and watching and watching. I don't know how much of that grew that nostalgia in me. But then when I went back to see this again, I think I watched it again a year or two ago, and was pleasantly surprised how well it had held up. The movie is fun and charming, and it does have that dark edge to it. I, like so many other people, caught this on VHS, which was a very popular thing at the time. I also saw Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure that way. I saw Critters that way. All of these movies I rented. I didn't really go to the movies to see these types of movies. If I went to the movies, which was very rare back then, if I went to the movies with my family, it would be something like Home Alone or something of that caliber, something like that big blockbuster that everybody's going to see. I would go see that. It wasn't until later on in my life, when I really became like a teenager, that I would go to the movies myself, and I would go to the movies a lot. Every Friday, I'd go to see like 4 movies. Whatever new was coming out, I'd pick 4 of them, and then I'd see them. And back then, was different than today. Today, it seems like there's a lot less movies coming out, which is crazy because they're making more movies, but the amount of them that are going to theaters has decreased. Most of the movies that come out are going streaming or direct to, on demand or whatever it is. But I know that because every time I try to go to the movies these days, I look and I was like, oh, there's like 2 or 3 movies to pick from, and I don't want to see any of them. Wonderful. But back then it was not the case. I would see awesome movies. This is years later, but I would see awesome movies like, Scream, The Lost World, Jurassic Park, Trigger Effect. These are all like 90s movies. It's just like what you had to pick from. That was one of like the lesser titles in the sense of it wasn't like a big hit or anything, but I would learn about these movies from like watching Siskel and Ebert and things like that, or reading Entertainment Weekly. And it would show me like, okay, this is out, and I'd have to go see them, almost like I was collecting them. It was like an experience, and that's kind of gone now. It's kind of sad that it's gone. But anyway, back to this. I digress. Back to the VHS era of the very, very early 90s. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. Had a great ad campaign. The trailer also made me want to see the movie, where the stoner brother, who is like actually a stoner, which is nice because Bill and Ted, even though they act like stoners, there's no smoking of marijuana in that movie, which is fine. They're not, some people do seem like they're potheads, but they're not. It's a thing that happens, but Bill and Ted really seemed like they were potheads. They were basically like Cheech and Chong without the smoke. But the brother in this is a pothead, and there was that famous scene in the trailer where the sister Christina Applegate asks him to do the dishes, and then they cut to him throwing the dishes up in the air like clay pigeons, and he shoots the dishes with a shotgun and says, "The dishes are done, man." And I still love that scene. And I think that line plays. There's a lot in this movie that does hold up. I like so the premise of the movie is just like this. I don't know what you'd say back then. The economy was completely different, and it was so much better than it is today. But thanks to like whatever inflation and minimum wage never going up, but the prices going up, all of that nonsense. So basically, this family, it's hard to tell how well off they are. They can afford nice things. They have a really nice house. I think they're supposed to be middle class. I guess nowadays it would be like they would be considered maybe upper middle class, or I don't know what exists anymore. It's such a cluster these days. But there's a big house full of kids. The brother who's a teenager. The oldest, I think, is Christina Applegate, but she's like still, I think she's 16 in this movie. So they're like in high school, and then there's their 2 siblings, younger siblings there's a boy. Actually, there's 3. So there's the youngest, who's a boy. There's another boy who's like, I think he's supposed to be maybe like a preteen, maybe at earliest like maybe 13, 14. And then the daughter, played by Danielle Harris, who is one of the actors in this movie who had done the things, being in the Halloween sequel films. She is in between the age of the youngest and the 13, 14-year-old heartthrob kid who's all about falling in love and having girlfriends and things like that, and that's in the movie, and mostly played for laughs. So anyway, there's a house full of kids. I can try to remember if it's a single mother, because if there is a father, you barely see him. But I think it is just a mom. But I could be wrong about this. I don't want to say it's a single mother situation if it's not. But that's even crazier if it is, that she can afford all that, take care of all those kids, and have that house, and like, it's just insane. So I think she's going away, if it's her and the dad, her by herself if she's single mother, going away on a vacation or a business trip. But I saw this a year or two ago. So the little details have slipped my mind, but the gist of the movie and all of the great stuff I have remembered. But all that, the little details, they're kind of inconsequential, and you just look them up if you really want to know. It doesn't do anything to the story, or doesn't change anything at all, or affect anything. So she goes away, and they're excited because, oh, mom's going away, this is great. And then we're going to have the house to ourselves, all this shit we're going to do this summer, because it's also like the summer. So they're not in school, which is great. Which is crazy. Is another thing I can't remember. Maybe somebody died. I don't know. I can't remember why the mom went away. But she goes away, and they're excited about it. And they're thinking they're getting away with murder. They're going to have the house themselves. And then she informs them, like, no, I hired a babysitter. And it's this really old lady. And this old lady appears really sweet at first. And but then she immediately, as soon as the mom leaves, she turns on a dime, and she's like the evil friggin' wicked witch from the Wizard of Oz. And so yeah, their face drops, and they see the woman who's like, what, we don't need a babysitter. And like, especially Christina Applegate, and the dishes are done man dude, he's really upset, because it's like, we don't need to be watched, we can take care of this shit. I'm like, whatever she says. I'm like 16, 17, whatever she is. What are you doing? And they're insulted, but she's like, I don't care, I don't trust you guys. You're getting a babysitter. But the problem, I guess, is this woman is like, I don't know, in her 90s or something. She's very, very up there. And she has a cane, and she likes to beat the kids with it. So she is, she's pretty wicked. And she is very, very much a Puritan, puritanical of some kind. She goes into the dishes are done man's room, and she sees all his like demonic metal music posters, and probably his bong and all this shit that he has. His room is a wreck, and it's full of paraphernalia and all these items of the devil. And she's like, oh, I'm surprised she didn't have a heart attack there. And she goes out, and she's like really just not happy with any of these kids. She thinks they're spoiled rotten, and they're bad. They're bad seeds. So they're not having a good time, and they're actually trying to plot, what are we going to do about this lady? We got to do something, because she's about to ruin our summer, because she's not even letting them go out and have fun. And then, fate intervenes, and one morning they go to tell her off, I guess, and say, hey, things are going to be different around here, and they find her dead, that she has died in her sleep, pretty much, because she's really old. And it's like that classic scene in the movie. I wonder if the movie was created this way, like if it started with the germ of an idea that's like, hey, do you know that scene in the movie where somebody accidentally dies, and they're like, we have to call the police, and then somebody in the group says, wait a second, hold on, let's talk about this. It happens a lot. Happened in that movie, Very Bad Things. That one pops in my head. Well, often 90s movies pop in my head. But there's so many more movies that are like that. So then maybe the writer of this movie was like, what if we take that trope and we make it like a babysitter dying? The kids didn't kill the babysitter, although it could have started that way. Maybe the kids killed the babysitter, who knows? But and we make it about like, they can then pretend like the babysitter's still alive. But they take it one step further. You know, kind of like, I guess, a Weekend at Bernie's, but they don't do anything like that. They don't do anything with the body, or they don't put her on strings or anything like that, but or put sunglasses on her. They don't. They just they put her in a big suitcase, like a luggage, and they drop her at the front of a what did they drop her? They leave her somewhere. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering this right, that she's in like a suitcase or something. So they take it one step further though, and they're like, okay, so now we have no babysitter, which is great. We have our freedom. We can have our summer. And they're all like, okay, let's just fuck around and do whatever we want all summer and just relax and have fun and smoke pot and hang out with their friends and do all this. And then they're like, wait a minute. Mom left us some money, the money that she left the babysitter, but that money's almost gone. And we need to make more money. So they're forced to like figure out a way to do that. So then Christina Applegate is the one who is, you know, through a method of drawing straws, is the one who has to get a job. So she gets a job by lying on her resume saying she's much older than she is. She gets a job as like a secretary of some kind in an office building. So it's like a corporate job. And she's pretending to be an adult. Meanwhile, the stoner dude brother is at home, and he becomes, you know, whatever they say, Susie homemaker. He is cooking, he's washing dishes. This is a slow process, by the way. Like I said, it starts out that he's shooting the dishes. It starts out that he's burning the breakfast. But through the course of the film, he actually becomes a really great chef and is washing the dishes properly, you know, without a gun, which is a good step up in the right direction, I'd say. So, and we're just following these kids' lives through the summer, as they grow, but also as they lie to try to have their freedom, maintain their freedom. Because if the secret was out, if their mom found out or anybody found out, then you know, their mom would be called and the fun would be over. But they like this freedom. They like feeling like they're whatever, self-sustained adults. It's a great idea for a movie. They execute it amazingly. The cast is great. The script is great. Like, it all just holds up. Another thing I love about this movie is, there's so much more that happens, especially most of the stuff that happens is with Christina Applegate and her job, where we follow her and her boss's boyfriend who's hitting on her, not knowing how young she is. And he's like a piece of shit who's like cheating on Rose, the boss. And I remember that because of the whole I'm right on top of that Rose line, where, you know, this kind of thing that sticks on your in your head, which is what Christina Applegate says, because she's becomes the big boss's secretary. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff that happens there. I enjoy it. I enjoy all the inner working politics of the office and just all of that, and the suspense of will she be figured out and found out. Meanwhile, she's interested in this boy who rides an ice cream truck, and he doesn't know her secret either. So it's just, there's a lot going on in this movie, and it's all fun, and it's just all a joy to watch and experience. If any of you guys haven't seen this in a while, you should definitely go back and check it out. The music is great. Now, that might just be nostalgia for me, but these are the type of songs that stick in my head, and I look forward to hearing some of these songs and these scenes and these montages that I remember back in the day. Because like I said, when you're watching this movie on TV they're playing it over and over and over again, you're watching it, all this stuff is just like, you know, it's just cemented in your brain. So it becomes one of the things you look forward to. I have a lot of movies that are like that, a lot of 90s and 80s movies that I go back to, and I'm like really looking forward to the soundtrack, you know, just these movies, these songs that I don't even listen to outside of the movies. Although I have had some of the soundtracks, and a lot of the soundtracks are on Spotify now and streaming sites like that for you to go back and, you know, experience. Like, sometimes I'll like watch a movie and like the thing I'm looking forward to is like the song or a couple of songs, like the needle drops in the movie. One of those movies is 3 O'Clock High, where every time I go back to see it, I'm really looking forward to that opening song, you know. Something to Remember Me by. I even covered it with my acoustic guitar because I was like, I love that song so much. And I just sometimes you can put on a movie like a record and just just to hear the songs. I know some like Blu-rays have that option to just play the songs, you know, whether it be like Beverly Hills Cop or one of those movies that's really famous for songs. Beverly Hills Cop is like the granddaddy of all of them, like sits on top with how amazing that soundtrack is. But anyway, yeah, the villain in this movie, which she is, if you were to pick a villain, it would not be the kids who are hiding the death of an old lady. It would be the boyfriend of Rose, who is also, he always plays like a kind of a scummy guy. He is the bad guy in Men at Work, which was a movie that came out a year before this. So at the time, he was having a pretty good run, because he was also, I guess you could call him a bad guy in The Fly, because he was like the other guy. He was the ex-boyfriend. Oh, he had the best name in that movie. What was it? Stathis Borans or something? Something weird like that. It was so good, though. And he had some funny lines in that movie. But I love this actor. I'm going to say John Gertz. I don't know if that's right. But the right name and face will appear on the screen, because he's worth giving a mention to. The actress who plays the boss is great. Her chemistry with Christina Applegate is amazing. You get everything that you want to get in this movie by the end of it. It's a crowd pleaser, which is great, I think. Like, some people say, like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. Oh, and they'll roll their eyes. I actually find that refreshing, because I think sometimes the other can be a little exhausting, too, when somebody's like, well, we can't do that because that's too obvious. So they wind up doing something just because it's the opposite of what's the obvious thing, not because it's right for the story or the movie. Or just like, we can't do that, it's 2024, or whatever the bullshit reason they use. It's either right for the story, for the material, or it's not. And if it's not, then you're gonna fuck up your movie, you know. But anyway, this is something that they didn't really worry about that much back then. And that's another reason why this was a great time, because they just did shit, and then they'd worry about the consequences later. And that's amazing. Yeah, the movie's like great. Anything wrong with the movie? No, this is a really, really good movie. Let me see here. I don't know if I forgot anything to say about the movie, but I think I've said a lot here. All right, so let's see with this new process. I am it's gonna be a little tricky. Okay, so I'm moving the guilty pleasure. You can see sort of the movies I have in here. Then I'm going to move up to what a movie. Is it what a movie? Is it guilty pleasure? Is it memories better? It's certainly not memories are better. So where am I going to put this? Well, Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead is going where it belongs, which is in the classic category. Because this movie is a classic in so many of the ways that word means classic, like the definition of classic. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. That's the definition of classic, I'd say. Okay, I'm kidding. It's just a really great movie, though. And it is a classic film from 1991. And I'm sticking to it because the rewatch, you know, that's the big thing. Saw it again a year or two ago, and man, it holds up. It holds up, and I was so pleased. I'm always so pleased when a movie that I used to love back in the day holds up. You know, it just brings me so much joy.